Yo, what is up, guys? Escobar's Adventures here, and if you look at my channel on YouTube and you look at the description, it says something along the lines of friends, outdoors, Spanish, air guns, music, and more. And there are a lot of reasons for that. Firstly, this isn't called or named Escobar's Spanish channel because I had the intention of posting other things. So, friends and outdoors are there in case these extravagant Japan trip plans ever make it out of the group chat, or these Spain trip plans, these Portugal trip plans ever happen. That's why they're there, because if that happens, you bet I'm going to be posting a lot about it. Air guns are there because I have a sort of small collection of steel BB guns that I might share with you guys one day. And music is there because I love music so much, and I've been a musician for the majority of my life, and I'm alright at it, and I can play quite a few instruments. So that is what we are going to make today. We are making a music video, and I'm going to be talking about the mandolin and why you should learn it if you are a violinist or a violist. So here we have my bowlback mandolin. I chose to go with the bowlback body because it kind of gives off the impression that, well, you will be playing classical music with this. So some similarities right off the bat. This is tuned in fifths, so same strings as a violin, and violists, just imagine this with your strings, but we have G, D, A, E tuned in fifths, so that means that all of your finger patterns will automatically work on this, simple scales and such, arpeggios. Simple chords. You'll notice that there are 8 pegs, and that is because these strings are double wound. So when you are playing with the pick, you need to hit both strings in order to achieve the full sound. And now this takes a little bit to tune, actually, and I need to get some new strings on it because it falls out of tune perhaps after 30 minutes. But other than that, after you finish individually tuning each string, you can just get right to playing with your normal scales and patterns that you would know as a violinist or violist. So this is very easy to pick up, and in terms of the historical connection between, bowed instruments and pick instruments, as the saying goes, pick is the easier of the two to pick up. So if you've learned a bow instrument already, this is you've already learned the harder of the two string instruments. So there's music for everybody on this. Your music from your previous instruments will essentially just transfer over after you get better at using the pick. So for my viola players, my violists, if you want to go through all the cello suites that have been transcribed to alto clef, you can easily do that. So a famous one, the prelude, that transfers quite beautifully on this instrument. Let's try some. Stuff like that transfers instantly. Of course, there's perhaps a bit of a derivation between your third and fourth when you start to play up here, but you won't really get up here until perhaps your second week, assuming you have a lot of experience. Your second week, you'll start to move away from the songs that you know, and you'll start to get into stuff that's actually written for the mandolin. So there are your sarabands. If you want something baroque, you have your Scarlatti sonatas. 555 of them, of course, and like 100 written specifically for the 5th tuned mandolin. So if you want something baroque, here it is. Continues, of course. The best part of that one in particular, we have towards the end. There's your slow-paced Baroque. If you want fast-paced Baroques, again, the Scarlatti sonatas, the one that this one leads into directly after. You can imagine how it goes on. Little derivation, of course. So there's your Baroque, your sarabands. We are looking into stuff that's more contemporary, written for the mandolin, soloist stuff. We have some of Galache's movements, exercises. They're not quite, I'm pretty sure they're sonatas. We have some of Galache's sonatas. It's stuff that will have you using odd techniques. So, for example, there's in Galache's first, you'll be high up on the fingerboard. A lot of right hand dexterity. And while doing that, you'll be forced to pluck with your left hand. And then before that we have the beautiful melody. That's equally as hard, nearly. The second part in particular I find very hard. So. Notice that bringing the pick higher up onto the board when you have those more harp-like notes, when you want them to be a little lighter. We have almost harp-like quality, aided by the resonance of those double strings. Very beautiful. But yeah, and a bit about the mandolin too. The bowl back shape, very reminiscent of a lute, and that is because, as you probably should have guessed, this instrument is in the lute family, derived from the lute. That's where it gets its bowl shape from. In the Baroque period, they had smaller mandolins that were tuned not in fifths, but tuned like lutes. So I couldn't play that one as easily, unfortunately, and neither could you, I guess. But it gets to the sort of 19th century and people start to realize that, well, if this was tuned in fifths, it would open the instruments up to a wider audience, and you could also play more violin repertoire on it. So we also have the mandola, which I don't have, but it is the viola counterpart and viola equivalent, of course, a bit bigger, but it just has the viola strings instead. So each sort of instrument in the mandolin family has its relation or spot to an instrument that you would find in any string ensemble, string orchestra, stuff like that. Very fascinating stuff. For this instrument, hitting both strings is very important, of utmost importance, and because of that you want a thicker pick. This is an imitation tortoiseshell pick, 1.2, but you can see how it's just a different shape than a guitar pick, sort of rounded edges, more for just when you really need to dig into those strings. So an example of when you would need to, there's this viola piece from the Baroque times that I've managed to transcribe a bit onto the mandolin. It's one of the viola de amor concertos, and if you know anything about the viola of amor, the love viola, it has a lot of resonant, sympathetic strings. Something so beautiful about the instrument. Such a plethora of very beautiful Baroque music on this instrument, but just to reiterate, your fingerings will all come into fruition. You'll be so ahead with your left hand. All you have to do is learn the pick, the easiest to pick up. It's a small instrument, you cross your leg to play it. There's nothing really difficult, or too difficult, that will pose a giant problem to violinists, violists looking to pick up another instrument. If you want something that looks medieval and sounds Baroque to play, if you just want another instrument to play, this is your instrument right here. And in terms of other mechanics like vibrato, just very small changes that need to be made. So vibrato, violin, viola, you're sort of close sometimes, moving a lot, right? So it doesn't work here. Here you just need to open your wrist a bit and sort of shake the finger, wiggle the finger back and forth. It's not exactly the same, but something like that, as opposed to very shaky vibrato that you would use when you have a bow. But like vibrato, small change you should be able to make, and with that you pretty much already sound advanced at the mandolin. It's a wonderful instrument. I'm so glad I picked it up. I intend to perhaps pick up the mandola next, a little bigger, and perhaps after that the lute, which will be more of a challenge. Or perhaps just buy a Baroque mandolin. You can't really install gut strings on these because as ancient as this instrument looks, and the vibe that it gives off, Renaissance, stuff like that, it just looks the part, of course. It is not that instrument, unfortunately, so I was looking into, can I install sheep guts strings on this in place of these wire metal ones, these copper ones, and I can, but with extreme difficulty, and there's a chance that they will break. It doesn't exactly have the body for them anymore as its Baroque predecessor. So this isn't really a Baroque instrument. There is stuff written for the very early tuned classical mandolin, Baroque mandolin, that barely qualifies as Baroque. Perhaps if it was written 12 years later, it wouldn't even hit the mark to be called Baroque. Luckily for some of the later mandolins tuned in fifths, you can play Baroque music for the mandolin, thank God, because I love Baroque music more than classical. But yeah, this is probably the instrument you're looking for if you're a violinist, violist. You want to pick up a new instrument fast. You want to sound good fast, of course, with repeated practice. When I first got this, I was on break from college and probably practicing it like 5, 6 hours a day, and it caught on, and I love it. I've been playing it so much, in love with the instrument, really. But yeah, if you are a violinist, a violist, even a new musician, a guitarist, anything, I always encourage people to learn instruments, but for the people that I'm talking to now, learn the mandolin, get yourself a bowback mandolin. They are very readily available, mass produced in the 19th century and 20th century. So many of them, they can be found anywhere. You go on eBay, you can find a decent one regardless of craftsmanship. It has all of them have this nearly warm, mellow, resonant sound. I even looked at a broken one before buying this. Tuner's all out of whack. There were some little blemishes on the sides, and there was a hole in the back. And still, after, playing around with the pegs a little, getting the strings that I could get in tune, it just sounded so beautiful and so resonant. And that's a broken instrument. So yes, all of these sound very good. Your A style and your F style, which are the other styles of mandolins, I didn't really want to look into them. As I said, I wanted to play strictly classical. I'm not really like a blues guy or anything like that. But an A style and bowback is what I would go for. A style because it's apparently more resonance, and it's also kind of just like the modern equivalent of a bowback. But yeah, the mandolin, an instrument that has been very fun to play, very fun to learn, and I'm never going to put it down, really. Oh, I love it a lot. Thank you guys for watching. Keep practicing your Spanish, please. Keep playing music. This is my first music video. Thank you guys for watching my first music video, and I'll see you guys next time when I decide to post something else. Thank you guys.